Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Today we will discuss in relation to the cell injury the oxygen derived free radicals, also known as the reactive oxygen species, and the cell injury induced by these reactive oxygen species. Now in today's lecture we will discuss that what are free radicals, how and when they are produced, what is the role of free radical damage in cell injury, and what are the target cellular sites of the free radical damage, and finally how our body defends against these free radicals. Now in this example we can see that when the oxygen gets an unpaired electron in its outer orbital, it is converted into a free radical known as the superoxide. So by definition, the free radicals, these are chemical species with an unpaired electron in its outer orbital. Chemically, these free radicals, they are very unstable and highly reactive. They react with other molecules and in turn steal an electron from another molecule and convert that molecule also into a free radical, and in this way they initiate an autocatalytic reaction where large number of free radicals are produced, and these free radicals they damage the cell, particularly the phospholipid bilayer, by doing lipid peroxidation. They also oxidize various proteins and also have can cause injury to the cell nucleus. A beneficial role of the free radical is that the phagocytes use these free radicals in the phagosomes and phagolysosomes to kill the microorganisms. Now the examples of free radicals are, for example, the reactive oxygen species are the superoxide anion, where one electron is added to the oxygen, and the hydrogen peroxide, which results from addition of the two electrons to the oxygen, and the hydroxyl radical, where three electrons are added to the oxygen and is converted into hydroxyl radical, and at the end when four electrons are added, we say that the oxygen is converted into water, and this happens during oxidative phosphorylation. But this partial reduction of oxygen that occurs during oxidative phosphorylation for the generation of ATP by creating a proton gradient is results in the formation of these toxic free radicals. The nitric oxide, which is formed by the enzyme nitric oxide synthase, and which when combined with the superoxide anions cause the formation of peroxynitrate, and similarly the nitrates and nitrites are examples of the free radicals. Now, free radicals are produced physiologically and as well as pathologically. By physiologically production of the free radicals, it means that we are always exposed to the dangerous effects of the free radicals. A simple example is the oxidative phosphorylation, where in the electron transport chain, which is used by the cells for the generation of ATP in the mitochondria, and where partial reduction of oxygen results in the creation or generation of the free radicals. Free radicals can also be produced pathologically, and the pathological production of free radical, the example is the inflammation, where the phagocytes generate free radicals for killing microorganisms, and also free radicals are produced by the ionizing radiations like ultraviolet light and X-rays, and by metals like iron and copper. So whatsoever the free radicals they have an unpaired electron in its outer orbital, and they will steal electron from another organic and inorganic chemicals, for example cellular proteins and lipids. And when they steal an electron from these molecules are also converted into free radicals, and in this way an auto catalytic reaction sets in. Now, as I said that we are always exposed to the free radicals, but fortunately our body has very important antioxidant mechanisms, and the free radical damage will result particularly in conditions where the free radicals are produced so more that they cannot be neutralized by the antioxidant mechanisms, and in this situation cell injury will occur. Now, as I said that free radicals are produced during oxidative phosphorylation, uh, where the electron transport chain results in the formation of ATP by the ATP synthase enzyme, and the pathological conditions where free radicals are produced are during inflammation. The free radicals are produced by the phagocytes in the phagosomes and phagolysosomes, and during inflammation, there is a condition known as the respiratory burst, where superoxides and hydrogen peroxides are produced by the action of the uh, uh, enzyme known as the phagocyte oxidase or uh, NADPH oxidase. The nitric oxide, which is produced by the enzyme by the nitric oxide synthase, and when the nitric oxide combines with the hydroxyl radicals, it gives to the formation of the peroxynitrate, which is also a free radical. The ionizing radiation like ultraviolet rays and X-rays, they will convert the water in our body into proton and hydroxyl radicals. The metals, for example, the copper and zinc, they will also generate free radicals when they are in free form in the circulation. The other example of the generation of free radicals or reactive oxygen species is the reperfusion injury. When a tissue becomes ischemic due to decreased blood supply, free radicals are produced. But when the blood supply is when the tissue is reperfused, by that we mean if the blood supply is re-established, the blood supply will bring lot of oxygen, and there will be excess formation of free radicals, and in some situations like myocardial infarctions and strokes, these uh, the re-establishment of the blood supply will result in the formation of more and more free radicals, causing severe injury than the initial insult. Moreover, during the metabolism of chemicals and medications, particularly in the liver, they also generate free radicals and are very important uh, determinants of the cell injury. The free radical damage is also involved in aging process and in mutations due to oxidation of the DNA, which causes cracks in the DNA strands and lead to mutations that can lead to cell death, and or for example the oncogenesis, production of the cancer. Now, in this slide we can see the oxidative phosphorylation, in which what happens that oxygen is partially reduced to water. But this reduction is not complete. Initially, when the oxygen is added an electron in its outer orbital, it is converted into superoxide, which is a free radical. Then addition of 2 electrons will result in the formation of hydrogen peroxide, which is also a free radical. And the addition of 3 electrons to the oxygen would result in the formation of hydroxyl ion, and finally the addition of 4 electron will result in the formation of water. But the water is harmless and innocent, but during the conversion and the reduction of oxygen, or more correctly, partial reduction of oxygen will result in the formation of these three important free radicals: the superoxide, hydrogen peroxide, and hydroxyl ions. Now we can see that the superoxide, hydrogen peroxide, and hydroxyl ion, these are all three are important free radicals, and the hydroxyl ion is the most uh, powerful free radical and causing in injury. Normally, these free radicals they are neutralized by the body's scavenger mechanisms that we are going to discuss in next slide. But if the production of free radical is excess, they will cause damage to the cell membrane through lipid peroxidation, damage to the nucleus through DNA oxidation, and can cause cell injury by uh, lipid peroxidation, uh, oxidation of the nuclear DNA, and oxidation or oxidative modification of various structural and functional proteins. Now, pathologically, when the phagocytes, for example, the macrophage or the neutrophil, when they engulf a microbe in phagosome, and this phagosome is then it then combines with the lysosome to form the phagolysosome, and in the phagolysosome what happens that the lysosomal enzymes they activate the enzyme NADPH oxidase. Now this NADPH oxidase causes oxidation of NADPH to NADP, and in this reaction the two electrons are transferred to the oxygen, which is converted into the superoxide free radical. Now, the enzyme which is a very important antioxidant known as the superoxide dismutase, it will convert the superoxide into hydrogen peroxide. And the production of the superoxide and hydrogen peroxide is known as the respiratory burst. So, the two important components of the respiratory burst are the superoxide and hydrogen peroxide. And the phagocytes use these free radicals to kill the microorganisms, because by these free radicals they can damage the membranes of the microorganisms as well as their DNA and nuclear structures. Another mechanism which is used by the phagocytes to kill microorganisms is the enzyme nitric oxide synthase. Now, the enzyme nitric oxide synthase causes the formation of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide itself is a strong free radical. However, when it combines with the superoxides, it gives rise to the formation of peroxynitrate, which is also a free radical. And by using these free radicals, the phagocytes can kill the pathogens by breaking down their cell membranes and damaging their proteins. In this slide, we can see that the enzyme NADPH oxidase cause NADPH converted into NADP with the generation of the superoxide free radicals. The superoxide free radical is converted then into hydrogen peroxide, and by the action of the enzyme myeloperoxidase, it is converted into hypochlorite, which is the common form of bleach. Similarly, the enzyme nitric oxide synthase cause the formation of nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is then when it reacts with the superoxide, it is converted into peroxynitrite, which is also a strong free radical. Now, the ionizing radiations like ultraviolet light and X-rays, when they attack our body, they cause the production of hydroxyl radicals and protons by breaking down the water, and the water is converted into hydroxyl radical. Similarly, the metals like copper and iron, particularly in conditions known as hemochromatosis, where there is a buildup of excess iron in the body, what happens that these metals undergo through Fenton reactions in which the ferrous iron is converted into the ferric iron along with the generation of the hydroxyl free radicals, and these hydroxyl free radicals damage the cells, the lipid peroxidation, protein modifications, and DNA damage. But fortunately that the carrier proteins in our body, for example the transferrin which binds iron, and the ferritin, the form in which iron is stored, they don't allow these free metals to cause generation of the free radicals. And if excess amounts of the free iron and copper is present in the body, it will combine with the hydrogen peroxide to cause the formation of hydroxyl free radicals. As we discussed previously that when a tissue is uh, deprived of its blood supply, or if there is decreased blood supply to a tissue, it will result in the ischemia. However, ischemia should be differentiated from hypoxia because ischemia can cause hypoxia, but hypoxia can also be caused by the deficient or defective oxygenation of the hemoglobin and blood due in certain lung diseases. So, in those conditions, like pneumonia, so in those conditions, there is hypoxia but no ischemia, right? However, ischemia will result in the formation of reactive oxygen species. But when the blood supply is re-established, that we know, we say as reperfusion, the reperfusion brings more oxygen to the tissue. At that time we will discuss reperfusion injury in more detail in our next lecture. But however, reperfusion and re-establishment of the blood supply bring more oxygen to the tissue, and there is excess formation of free radical damage. And sometimes this damage, for example as seen in myocardial infarction and cerebral strokes, is more severe than the initial uh, insult. Certain chemicals and medications, we know they are metabolized in the liver. For example, tetrachloride, uh, acetaminophen, the paracetamol, commonly known. When during the metabolism of these medicines and chemicals give rise to the formation of free radicals, and they can damage the liver hepatocytes, and their role in diseases like Wilson disease, hemochromatosis, and various forms of hepatic diseases like hepatitis is well established. Now, fortunately, our body has defense mechanisms, and normally the defense mechanism neutralize these free radicals. But in conditions where this balance tilts towards the generation of free radicals, what happens that cell damage occurs, particularly by the lipid peroxidation. Here, what happens that, for example, the hydroxyl radical, uh, when reacts with a lipid molecule, it will steal an electron from the lipid molecule and will convert this molecule into a free radical, which in turn will convert another lipid molecule into free radical, and in this way a catalytic autocatalytic reaction is set on, which will cause damage to the membrane phospholipid bilayer. Additionally, the free radicals can attack various structural and functional proteins in the form of enzymes, and ultimately they will cause oxidation of the nuclear chromatin and DNA. And this free radical induced damage will result in the formation of breaks in the DNA strands. And these breaks ultimately will result in mutations, and these mutations can cause cellular death, apoptic cellular death, necrotic cellular death, and also they induce the increased risk of cancer by stimulating the oncogenesis. Now, we have come to the conclusion that the free radicals are produced by radiations like X-rays and ultraviolet light. Free radicals can be produced by chemicals and drugs like acetaminophen, paracetamol. Also, for example, carbon tetrachloride poisons and metals like iron and copper, and free radicals are also produced by the reperfusion injury, particularly in cerebral ischemia and myocardial infarctions. Now, these free radicals will attack the membrane phospholipid bilayer and will cause the membrane damage as we discussed in previous slide. They will cause protein modifications, and this oxidation of DNA and protein modification will lead to the breakdown of proteins or misfolding of the proteins and accumulation of damaged DNA and misfolded proteins will induce the apoptic cell death. And moreover, these free radicals cause DNA damage by oxidation of the DNA and result in cracks or breaks in the DNA strand, which will lead to cell death, and their role in oncogenesis by putting mutations in the DNA strand is well established. Now, free radicals are removed continually. Here we talk about the antioxidants like vitamin A, vitamin C, E, and the glutathione. These antioxidants, they donate electrons to the free radicals and neutralize them. And moreover, the binding of the transition metals, for example, the iron by the transferrin and ferritin, and the copper by the ceruloplasmin, these proteins neutralize these metals and neutralize the formation of the free radicals by these metals. The important enzymes, for example, the catalase, it will neutralize hydrogen peroxide into water. The superoxide dismutase, which converts the hydroxyl ion into hydrogen peroxide, but thus reducing the superoxide free radical, and the glutathione peroxidase, which neutralize the hydrogen peroxide and hydroxyl ions into water, which is harmless and non-toxic. Here we can see that the superoxide dismutase is the enzymes which will convert the superoxide into hydrogen peroxide, and the glutathione and the catalase enzymes, they will convert hydrogen peroxide into water, which is harmless. So the very important antioxidants are the catalase enzymes and glutathione that act on hydrogen peroxide, and the superoxide dismutase that act on the superoxides. External antioxidants like vitamin E, A, and C, and beta carotene, they also act as antioxidants by donating electrons to the free radicals, and in this way the free radicals are neutralized. Now, in this slide we can see that radiations, toxins, various chemicals, medications, and the reperfusion injury, it will give rise to the formation of the free radicals, particularly the superoxide, hydrogen peroxide, and hydroxyl radicals. And these free radicals will cause then lipid peroxidation, membrane damage, protein modification, DNA strands damage, and cracks, and misfolding of the proteins, and putting mutations in the DNA strands, which may lead to cell death, or such mutations will cause the cancer. Now, normally the superoxide is neutralized by the enzyme superoxide dismutase, which converts superoxide into hydrogen peroxide. The hydrogen peroxide is attacked by the enzyme catalase and glutathione and is neutralized. And these antioxidant mechanisms are very important along with the antioxidants like vitamin C, A, and vitamin E. And they have got very important roles in neutralizing these reactive oxygen species. Now, here we can see that the metal carrier proteins like ceruloplasmin for copper and transferrin and ferritin for iron, they bind these metal ions and prevent the production of the reactive species. They also help transport and store, for example, transferrin and ferritin, and as a result, these ions are, when combined by these proteins, they are unable to generate free radicals. As we said that the superoxide dismutase will convert superoxides into hydrogen peroxide, and the enzymes catalase, which is present in the peroxisomes, and the glutathione oxidase present in the cytoplasm, they will convert hydrogen peroxide into water, which is non-toxic. So, coming to a summary of the today's lecture, uh, we have very briefly discussed the free radicals and the free radicals induced cell injury, and we came to the conclusion that the free radicals are chemical species with unpaired electron in its outer orbital, and potentially they can cause oxidation of other molecules and can cause damage to the lipids, damage to the proteins, and damage to the DNA. And we also came to know that the free radicals are produced physiologically, for example, during the oxidative phosphorylation or electron transport chain in the generation of ATP, and they are also produced pathologically. And the pathological conditions that give rise to the generation of these free radicals include inflammation, radiation energy in the form of ultraviolet light and X-rays, and metabolism of chemicals like acetaminophen and carbon tetrachloride in the liver, and also free radicals can be generated when there is excess buildup of the iron and copper metals, and free radicals are also generated during the reperfusion injury. And these free radicals are neutralized by the antioxidants, as we discussed, the superoxide dismutase, glutathione, catalase, the vitamin A, C, and E, and also the metals that generate free radicals are inhibited by when they are kept bind in the carrier proteins like transferrin and ceruloplasmins and various scavenging enzymes that cause neutralization of these free radicals. Thank you very much.